Hi, and welcome to The Hardest Part. I'm Kieran Banerjee, and this is the show where we break down the hardest songs ever written. Joining me on today's show is London-based band Famous.
Yeah, so it's a song called Leaving Tottenham. It's taken from our latest debut album, Party album. It's kind of a climactic moment on the album. I think I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about it more thoroughly because it felt like, well, one, I mean, when I heard the premise of the show, and I love this idea of focusing on the struggle of writing music, because that's something that really resonates with me. It's never been easy, and this song in particular took a long time, and I was laboring at it. I think I felt that in the process of laboring at it, I worked out something that I was trying to say more generally. And so that was kind of something of a turning point for me as a writer. So yeah.
We'll go a little bit into sort of like specific parts of the song that were particularly tricky to finish or hard to approach. What's the song about? Because I guess the title, Leaving Tottenham, might suggest that it's about a place, but when you read the lyrics and you hear the performance, it to me seems like it's about someone.
I mean, I think on the face of it, like most of the songs I end up writing, it operates as kind of a love song, or at least it uses that kind of framing. And so yeah, it is about someone, but then, and I guess this is, and we'll probably get into this if we can, but it's about wanting the moments in your life that have meaning and significance to you to be kind of ultimately meaningful and significant, not just big in your small world, I guess. That kind of yearning to
people to take universal meaning from something that you've written personally about.
I mean, it gets kind of complicated because I certainly don't mean to position myself as like someone who has like grand insights. Maybe it's just me, but it's kind of depressing, the idea that something can feel so huge and significant to you in the moment, and then it ultimately sort of dissipates to nothing because it happened to you. And I think what I've been trying to do for as long as I've been writing as under the name Famous is reconcile that feeling of willing into being a meaning to things in my life or the life of my friends that might make it sort of matter in a deeper and more permanent way than perhaps it can or should.
So for you, would you say the struggle with this song was maybe less about the subject matter of the actual track itself, but actually in order to write in a meaningful way for you, for it to have a bigger and more meaningful reason to everyone that listens to that track?
I think maybe part of the reason why I think it's like among the songs worth thinking about a bit more, because I think there's a tension here, because like a thought that occurred to me some years ago, which has sort of stayed with me, as I started noticing a lot of people when they wrote music, they used a kind of collective first person. They said, we do this. It struck me how like odd that is, and like the arrogance to make any kind of statement on someone else's behalf when you're writing about yourself. And so I kind of, I'm probably taking it all too seriously, which is, a problem for me. I kind of took that to heart, like when I was growing up, I was an enormous Beatles fan, and John Lennon had a very kind of big influence on the way I thought about music in the first instance. I think I responded very emotionally to the way in which he simply presented himself, mother, you had me, but I didn't have you, or, these lines which are couldn't possibly have any relevance for someone else on one level, because they're just so specifically about his own life.
Yeah.
Name-checking Yoko in a song, it's like, it's so insular, but like, as I guess maybe I thought about it more as I grew up, it's like, well, that's, I think the reason that connects with people so much is that perhaps it is by focusing so forensically on the details of your own life that you kind of gain the currency to speak more generally to people. And I really liked that as a model. So I think that influenced me a lot. And I started writing in this kind of confessional voice. and spoke like, quite unsparingly about my own experiences. I'd been doing this confessional thing for as long as I can remember. I'd been writing from life pretty much. And I became frustrated because I felt, it felt so sort of self-obsessed, like putting it simply, like it felt like, well, yeah, I guess maybe it was a sort of insecurity that like, how could the details of a life that's so unremarkable in lots of ways as mine be interesting to anyone else? And so, maybe to talk more specifically about the song, there are kind of two strands that go through it. One of which was written very quickly, and one of which, we can talk about the music a bit, but I don't know how interesting that is necessarily. I mean, it came together as it did, and then I had the music, and I tried to write the words, which is often how it works. I had an experience, not a very interesting one. I saw someone who I had been in love with in the past. It brought out this flurry of emotion. And then once I got home, I rushed it out. And that's like the first lines, love you like everything at once, love you all at once. I really hope you don't marry him, and so on. And all of that is like quite like, it was like this sort of quite straight, visceral response to an experience. It's kind of ugly in a way. I think I was reveling in, or allowing to be put on the page, like some quite unedifying emotions. Like,
yeah.
The second strand in the song came from an attempt to really think through what possible meaning that first strand could have to anyone else. What meaning these kind of like little personal struggles have in a bigger sense. And I guess, yeah, that was the thing I was trying to reconcile.
Or were there specific lines that were harder than others to finalise?
I would say the second verse is probably the hardest like stanza of lines I've probably ever written. To bring them to the fore, they go, our real lives start outside of time, no more in bodies, not our own, and I am no longer afraid. I am no longer afraid of the angel standing in the sun. I think I wanted to, I'm very interested in Christian philosophy and theology. I thought, spent a lot of time thinking about that, studying that kind of frame of thinking. I guess that's kind of there in the lyrics. I suppose it came from a thought that I had, which is kind of quack science. But I had this idea that I'd never tried to explain this before, and I'm probably going to fuck it up. But we have this idea from physics, I believe, that though our perception seems to tell us otherwise, time is a material like space or anything, and is malleable in the same way, and could be viewed from a different dimension, is sort of malleable, changeable substance. And yet our experience of time is like, it's not unlike a prison in the sense, we are all unavoidably in the place and time we find ourselves, and must live through it at the speed it comes, which is not a pessimistic thought perhaps, but yeah, and perhaps life is about learning to enjoy that. But it can feel difficult, particularly when times are difficult, I suppose. Like in a heartbreak or something, you become very aware of time being a healer, but it's like, it goes so slowly.
What is time?
Yeah, exactly. I was playing with that idea, and again, I know it's sort of quacky science, but I liked this idea that if time as we experience it as a kind of unreality, then maybe a real love between two people would be a love that they had outside of time. Or rather, that if a realer view of the universe would see time as a thing that passes and has this malleable quality, that our realities are beyond time, like a realer version of us is outside of time. And so I was playing with that, and I liked the idea of a relationship that existed outside the confines of time. And the final lyric in the stanza is, I'm no longer afraid of the angel standing in the sun, and there's a reference to the Turner, a painter who's meant a lot to me. He has a painting by the same name, and it's a sort of horrifying demonic kind of presence in the midst of a serene picture, and the angel standing in the sun is death. And so I liked the idea that perhaps if we could imagine ourselves floating free of any particular moment in time or history, that maybe our own mortality would weigh a little less heavily. That was some of the more difficult ideas I was trying to play with. I mean, there's a line, a literary critic writing about T.S. Eliot, Helen Gardner is her name. There's a line she has about his poetry, which has always stuck with me. I say this with the proviso that I'm certainly not comparing myself to T.S. Eliot, but she said about him that where some poets, I'm paraphrasing, use sort of dense or mysterious language to confuse the fact that they actually have very little to say, or that what they do have to say could be expressed very simply, but they choose not to for obtuse reasons. The difference is that T.S. Eliot, in difficult language, because the ideas themselves were difficult, and I suppose if perhaps that's my excuse for being a little bit obscure, but I think there's something in that perhaps to the most fundamental questions cannot be written about straight up, that to even try and write about them in a clear way, you end up sort of pirouetting into obscurity.
I think you've achieved what you went out to do. It was, I think, everyone's going to hear it in a moment, but the nuances in the delivery of some of those lines as well. I'd never heard that version of the track in its raw, sort of stripped back version. I put myself, I think, in some similar situations just hearing you play it. And I think the nuances in the delivery, I think you've absolutely succeeded in conveying this larger meaning as to what the song means.
Thank you. That's incredibly kind of you. I'm very grateful.
The audience is about to hear the track. One thing I love speaking to artists about, what they want the audience to pay attention to when they hear a song. The example I always come back to is that I was listening to a new record by a band I really like, and I listened to it and I was so underwhelmed by it, and I was just not very good. And then I heard an interview of the lead singer talking about what that song really meant and these specific nuances within the song, and then it changed the way I listened to it forever. So our audience are about to hear Leaving Tottenham. What do you want them to specifically listen out to, which is, going to change the meaning of the song for them?
I think something I've always loved in music, and if I could be bold enough to say, I think this song has it, possibly to a fault, likely to a fault, that I love music in which you can really feel how hard they are trying, or the artist is trying. And it's a simple thing. I love albums where you hear them push so hard for something. Like my favourite band in the world is the 1975. And one thing I love about them is that they're always pushing. They're always trying so hard. And sometimes it completely flops, but you never doubt their ambition. And you never doubt how much they care about making that connection with the audience and pushing for something new. And I love that. I'd much rather people push beyond their abilities than sit comfortably in mediocrity. I guess if I'd want you to listen to anything is quite how much we mean it, to put it simply. Love you like everything at once. Love you all at once. Really hope you don't marry him. I'm so selfish. Just waiting for you. Just waiting for you. You really believe me? You people don't need me. You people don't need me, yeah. Our real lives start outside of time. No more in bodies not our own. I'm no longer afraid. I'm no longer afraid of the angels standing in the sun. Oh, did you really believe? Yeah, I nearly believed you. You people don't leave me. I really believed, yeah, I nearly believed you. I really believed it. And if you ever get another hold on me, don't fuck with me. I nearly believed you. I nearly believed you. I nearly believed you.
Thanks for tuning in to The Hardest Part. Make sure to leave us a review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all major podcast platforms, including YouTube. Until next time, I'm Kieran Banerjee. We'll see you then.